When CenterCal Properties begins researching locations to build one of their lifestyle projects, their criteria is pretty straightforward. First, they look for thriving, growing, family-centered communities. Next, they look for expanding and futuristic business climates within that community. And finally, they look for strong community leadership, mayors and city and state leaders who want to be true partners for every step of the project. So when CenterCal CEO Fred Bruning visited Riverton, Utah, and met Mayor Bill Applegarth, he knew he had found the community and the leadership for the newest CenterCal project, Mountain View Village.
So he called me on the phone and he was excited, and that's infectious, and I became excited. And as we talked about what some of the concepts of his development, the thing that stood out in my mind so much was that he was after not just a shopping center, but he was after a gathering place, a spirit of place.
Long before the first shovel of dirt is turned, the CenterCal team begins to define the customer experience. A major part of that emotional connection is the public art that will be created especially for that community. For Mountain View Village, it was decided that the theme for the sculpture would be honoring hometown heroes with a majestic eagle as the centerpiece.
And then as he went with the eagle and talked about that, he taught us the reason for the eagle. It wasn't just for an eagle, and it wasn't just for a general patriotism. It was for some specific things. And one of the specific things was to honor firefighters, police officers, and the Utah National Guard.
He said, we're doing an eagle, and showed me the statue as he outlined the vision for law enforcement and what we're trying to accomplish. I thought, you know what? I love that element of it.
He wanted to create a memory for those wonderful men and women that protect us in public safety. And he wanted that to be part of what the Riverton CenterCal development will have.
Sculptor Brian Keith has created the sculptures for several CenterCal developments.
Fred wanted to make sure, and that as we worked out the design, this aspect of a protective pose. Something that with it, wings that are outstretched forward, not back, like almost a defense, but forward protection. And covering almost like the shadow of his wings, the covering that happens with that. And what we saw was, as we started to form this pose together, it started to really emphasize the story behind it. That there are people out there that are willing to do what it takes to help protect, and this is signifies that protection stance. A completed piece of art that will have taken over just about 2 years to complete, from concept to creation and installation. It's a 13.5 foot wingspan from tip to tip, but ultimately they're 20 foot. But they're curved around. A stance of knowing that there is one to protect you. I know that there are those in the military and fire and police that depend on that protection from a much bigger power than them.
It was clear that the developer, CenterCal, was committed to respecting the hometown values and the hometown family environment that Riverton is really at Riverton's core.
That there's so many community things and activities, and even outside tonight at the park there's a community activity going on, and so it feels like it's a great place where we feel like it takes a village to raise a family.
To see the interaction of the families, to see the interaction of people in the valley and filling it up with kind of the promises that they had back then, that the valley would indeed blossom as a rose, This is literally the fulfillment of it, and having a project kind of be a capstone to that heritage, I think is invaluable.
We also have been just deeply committed to the arts. We're at a level with the CenterCal development where there will be a great deal of public art in the city. That matches well with us. I've been privileged to be involved from the outside, thanks to Fred, of the announcement he was going to use a large eagle in his commercial development. The centerpiece of the public art that he's putting in will be this beautiful eagle. I have seen drawings of it. I have seen pictures of other eagles. I have seen video from the sculpture of it coming forth and how it's done. And this is very important for me to see the finished product.
So this eagle represents my voice. There's going to be 100 stories that most people don't know about from my voice, but it will represent many stories that most people won't hear. But when they go and see the finished work, I think that they'll be able to put in a little exclamation point at the end of their story. Be very happy to say I fought the fight.
Join us for the unveiling of Mountain View Village in June of 2018.